Committed to myself and my vision in 2005, a whole stream of events issued forth. Remember the meetings with Karn, the meeting with Andrew. Later, I'd go on to meet my graphic designer, who, by the way, it turns out she only lived 5 minutes from my home. She turned out to be the perfect person to help me realize my dream. She was the perfect partner. Now, the other aspect of commitment, a favorite topic of mine, is alignment. You see, commitment drives alignment, and alignment is about bringing who we're being in line with our aspirations. What I know for sure is that we can't achieve our dreams or our goals if we're out of alignment. Let me tell you, for example, if I dream of having a college degree, I have to be committed to myself and dedicated to my studies. And out of that commitment and dedication, I'm willing to do the work necessary to achieve the degree. Ask yourself, who do I need to be to achieve my vision? You see, in order to fulfill my dream, I not only had to be committed, but I had to align other aspects of my being as well. I had to be accepting of myself as an artist, because when I showed up in my life and my work life every day, I didn't show up that way. I was not accepting myself in that way. I had to be authentic in my creative expression, and I had to be vulnerable to share my work, my art, with others. Another example I'd like to share with you is from one of, if not, the best athlete of our time, Michael Jordan. And listen to what Michael Jordan has to say about vision and commitment. He says, I visualized where I wanted to be, what kind of player I wanted to become. I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and I focused on getting there. About commitment, he says, I approach practices the same way I approach games. You can't turn it on and turn it off like a faucet. I couldn't dog it during practice and then, when I needed that extra push late in the game, expect it to be there. But that's how a lot of people approach things. And that's why a lot of people fail. They sound like they're committed to being the best they can be. They say all the right things, make all the right appearances. But when it comes right down to it, they're looking for reasons instead of answers. If you're trying to achieve, there will be roadblocks. I've had them. Everybody has had them. But obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. How many of us have a vision to be the best? You see, for Michael Jordan, he not only had that vision, but he had the commitment. Being committed for him meant he approached his practices like he approached the games. And being committed meant figuring out how to overcome the obstacles. So how many of us are willing to climb it, go through it, work around it? Repeat after me. I am committed to being my best. I am unstoppable. Our third practice is the practice of being a beginner. You know, recently I've been working on a new course around resilience. And I started reading a book that I found really intriguing. It's called Fail Fast, Fail Often by 2 PhDs, Ryan Babineau and John Crumboltz. And they submit that in the book that at the heart of our success is our ability to fail and fail often because we learn by making mistakes. We learn by committing errors. So the sooner we can move through it, the faster we can move through it, the more we learn and we can achieve our success as quickly. One of the things that they highly recommend is trying things like a beginner. And you see, our children are great reminders of us, of what it's like to be a beginner. If you watch them, as I watch my daughter, I see these curious sponges that are always open to a new adventure. Being a beginner, think about what it's like to try something as a beginner and not to be the expert. You know, when we reach the place of being the expert, we know something. And sometimes when we know, we might be less open or less willing to learn something new. Doesn't mean that it's always the case. But when we're a beginner, we bring a spirit of excitement around learning something new. We bring a certain wonder about what's around that next corner. We're not fearful of it, we're excited by it. Think back to the first day of school or in a new class. You show up as the beginner. You don't know the subject yet, but you're eager to learn. You're ready to work hard. You expect that you'll make some mistakes as you're learning and you're mastering the subject. And in the process, you're willing to ask for help. As a matter of fact, when you're a beginner, everybody's a teacher. There's rarely anybody you won't ask for help when you're a beginner, when you're lost. You're willing to accept that coaching, that instruction, that guidance. Reframe our life as a school. Reframe our jobs, our roles as a new class. How many of us are approaching those sometimes with the spirit of being a beginner? You see, now I've come to that place in my life where I can appreciate that there are things that we know that we know. There are things that we know that we don't know. And there's even a greater amount that we don't even know that we don't know. And I've come to appreciate that when you're growing, you quickly find yourself back in the place of being a beginner because you don't know, and that's okay. But you're growing and you're learning, and soon you will know. So I encourage myself and my clients to get really comfortable with being a beginner. It takes great courage and great curiosity to be a beginner. Think about Miss Oprah Winfrey. She left a successful show after 25 years to go on and start something new. She's trying it like a beginner, the Oprah Winfrey Network. She took on Discovery Communications as a partner and as a teacher. She's been willing to make mistakes. She's been willing to learn from them, and she's been willing to take their guidance and coaching to continue evolving her business. I encourage you not only to try new things, but to try them in the practice of being a beginner. Repeat after me. I am courageous and curious. I am unstoppable. Our next practice is that of being a constant gardener. Now, I use the term garden as a metaphor for our consciousness, our awareness of ourselves and of our thoughts and of the thoughts that we're holding, the thoughts that are blooming and blossoming in our gardens. Are we taking notice of what's blossoming? Are we taking notice of what we're planting? What needs to maybe be weeded out? You see, our negative thoughts can be like weeds. They spread all over your garden. And we have to be mindful of our thoughts, especially those negative ones. You see, what we learned from more brain science and how we're wired is that negative thoughts and emotions like fear and anger narrow our view of possibilities. And it's all about our survival instinct. When we're in those places of fight or flight, the best way to survive is to narrow your options so you can make that choice and move forward and save yourself. But that still comes up in everyday life, even though that's a survival instinct. Barbara Fredrickson is a researcher at the University of North Carolina, and she focuses on positive psychology. And she has shown in her work and her research that positive emotions broaden our sense of possibility and open our minds to more options. I personally work in my garden daily, and I encourage my clients to do the same. I especially recommend watering your garden with affirmations, life-affirming affirmations, and positive self-talk. You know, that self-talk is how we speak to ourselves in our heads, in our minds, how we respond to the thoughts we're holding or what someone has said about us. You see, when I began to pay closer attention to my own self-talk, I was amazed to see how brutally I spoke to myself, how brutally I treated myself. It was a wake-up call for me to grant myself that same compassion that I extend to others. Pay attention to what we're telling ourselves. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Plant positive, life-affirming thoughts in place of the weeds you're uprooting. Create affirmations that keep you anchored in your vision. How many of us are familiar with the saying, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he"? Yeah. If we think we can, we can. If we think we can't, then we can't. I want to share another brief story with you about a little boy named Joey. Joey was born with a deformity. Joey was born with a club feet. And the first 3 years of his life, he underwent many treatments and many surgeries to correct that deformity. And although he was well enough to walk and to get around as any other child would, the doctors told his parents, they said, well, you know, he's going to be able to walk just fine, but he probably won't be able to run so well. Well, his parents listened to that. They heard it, but they never told Joey that. Joey would, like any other kid, run around, but as he stayed on his legs too long, he would begin to complain that they were getting tired. Sometimes they'd swell. So they'd just take a rest, have an ice cream cone, and then go back to playing. Well, fast forward. In about 7th grade, Joey decided that he wanted to try out for the cross-country team. He wanted to run long distances. And so in order to try out, you're going to the practice every day. And they're running about 4 to 5 miles a day. That's long enough for me. I don't know about you. But they're running this every day. And so his parents never told him that he couldn't do that because of the operations or because of the past deformity. They let him run. And Joey had his mind set on being a member of that team. That was his vision. So he'd run every day. One particular day, Joey was ill. He had about 102, 103 degree fever, went on to school, but his parents thought surely the nurse is going to call and they're going to send Joey home and he'll rest. Well, nobody called. So Joey finished school that day and he's ready for practice. And he's gone to run his customary 4 to 5 miles. So his mom sets out. She says, well, let me just go check on Joey. And she finds Joey running along the street. She says, Joey, are you okay? He's like, Mom, I'm fine. I just got 2 more miles to go. I'm fine. So she kind of stayed with him. He finished his run and he came on, but she never told him to stop running, and she never told him that he couldn't run. So about 2 weeks later, they go to unveil the members of the team, the cross-country team. And there are going to be 7 runners that are on this team. Joey's name was number 6. And all of the other runners, I always get choked up when I tell this story, all of the other runners were in 8th grade. Joey was in the 7th grade. He was the only 7th grader on the team. And you see, the moral of that story, they never told Joey he couldn't do it. And so he did it. What are we telling ourselves? The ancient Roman poet Virgil says, they can because they think they can. It is just that simple. Repeat after me. I think I can. I am unstoppable. The next practice is the practice of being agile. Now, this is a very interesting practice to me, and it's one that I'm really deep in, and I'll tell you why. Now, when I first started thinking about being agile, I immediately thought, oh, this is about flexibility. But then I started having this conversation with my husband about it, and he said to me, no, this is more than flexibility. This has more dimensions. And he was right. You see, agility is not only about being flexible. It's about ease. It's about speed. It's about grace. There is an element of beauty in that movement. You see, if unstoppable means being able to learn, adapt, and overcome, agility speaks directly to change. Now, I don't know about you, but in my past, change has been a dirty word. I wanted a lot of things in my life, my friends, but change was not at the top of the list. But here's the irony. To get anywhere, to get everywhere, we must what? Change. So in this practice, I started teaching around change and transition. You know, they say what you teach is what you have to learn. That's definitely my place of learning. And so in this practice of being agile, we embrace change as natural. It is a natural symptom of growth. If we look around us in the natural world, what do we see? Change. We're quite happy right now to see change in the weather, are we not? I don't think any one of us wanted another snow day. Now we have beautiful sunshine, but it's change. You see, in some areas of our life, we seem to be able to accept it and embrace it quite easily. Yes, it's okay to move from winter to spring. It's okay to move from the old year into the new year. But, okay, in this area of my life change, no, I don't want it there. It's not good there. It's good everywhere else but there. So in this practice of being agile, it's embracing the change. It's also paying attention to what's going on around us and what's going on inside of us so that we're able to move easily and gracefully and quickly. You may be asking yourself, so what are we listening for? And who are we listening to? Well, you're listening to your heart. You're listening to your divine assistance and guidance. You're listening for whatever it is that is yours to do at that moment, in that time. Yes, we can listen to others. We can learn from others. That's for sure. But I tell you one thing that I have learned for myself, and I know to be true. All of the answers that you are seeking about your success, about your journey, all of the answers, those deep answers that you're seeking, they all lie inside of you. I don't mean to suggest that you can't learn from the outside, but the core of what you're asking, what you're seeking, is in you. You know your own answers. You know your own truth. I often tell clients when they come to work with me, I said, there's nothing I can tell you about you that you don't already know. You're an expert on you. So once you know what is yours to do per the guidance that you've received, then it's in us to really trust in our ability to learn, to adapt, and overcome. So the one constant that we know for sure is change. We know that being agile is critical to our success, however we envision it for ourselves, because we are always changing. The natural world is always changing. Our organization, as was spoken about earlier, is always changing and will continue to change. You see, my theory is that in this practice of being agile, we learn to listen to our hearts and trust our intuition. We trust in our ability to learn, to adapt, and to overcome. And that practice, being in that practice, we begin to develop that ease, that speed, and that grace. And that beauty that I speak of with agility, I believe that beauty is the result of living our lives in tuned and attuned to life. It becomes this beautiful masterpiece, this artwork, which is unique to each and every one of us. Repeat after me. I am agile. I move easily. I move quickly. I move gracefully. I am unstoppable. Our sixth and final practice is being grateful. We can't forget to be grateful. But not grateful just for the good things. Grateful for all things. You see, in my belief system, all things, the universe, is conspiring toward my highest good, to give me my highest good. And all things includes the roadblocks, the detours, the problems, the unexpected things, and all of those good things that we already cherish. Being grateful for the small things as well as the big things. You know, the small things grow into big things. But if we can't witness, if we can't appreciate the small things, will we be able to see the big things when they're right in front of us? When we can receive the gift of all things, then our blessings, our gifts multiply. You see, that energy of appreciation begins to attract more good things, more of all the things that you're seeking. I invite you to the practice of being grateful even before you see it, even before your good is received. Trusting yourself as a good steward of your vision, trusting your divine support, being expectant. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. See yourself reaching your goal. See yourself being successful. Feel it. What does it feel like to you? You see, when I think about all of these practices, I have a dream that I'm excited about, and it resonates with my heart. I'm committed to myself and my vision, and in that commitment, I'm willing to do the work. I ask for help. I'm willing to make mistakes. I affirm my success and thoughts of success that support my success. As I work toward my goal, I pay attention, and I course correct when I need to. I am trusting myself and my divine guidance. You see, my practice naturally leads me to be expectant of my good. I'm being who I need to be to have what I aspire to have. Repeat after me. I am expectant and I am grateful.
I am expectant
I am unstoppable. Now, whatever you've set your sights on as your success, know that you are well equipped to have it. And not only are you equipped to have it, you deserve it. You are worthy of it. It is yours. When we live from this place of authenticity, this place of knowing your truth, that you are knowing, intelligent, capable beings, equipped with a multitude of talents and gifts, we have a passion and an energy that we can bring to any endeavor. It's simply our choice. And what I know for sure is how you do anything is how you do everything. And when you show up being unstoppable, being who you are, being your authentic selves, well, then everybody wants you. On their committee, in their department, on their team, everybody wants you. Many of us are focused on our work life, and you can have whatever you want in that life. All of the practices of being that I've shared with you can be applied there, but I invite you to broaden your perspective. Our work is a part of our lives. But if we're lucky, our lives will be our greatest work, our greatest contribution to ourselves, to our families, to our communities, to this world, to our planet. In closing today, I first thank you for the awesome privilege to be here with you today. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your attention. And as I leave you today, I leave you with a final offering of wisdom. There are 3 insights that I think are invaluable to the journey. The first insight is to meet each challenge like a new friend. Welcome the challenge and the lessons that it brings you. I tell you today, the challenge is not greater than you. That challenge is a testament to who you are. You see, as you rise, the hurdles rise. But that's okay, because you're an overcomer. The next insight I share with you is to see the task, whatever the task that is in front of you, see it as done. I look out into the crowd and I see all of these beautiful women. As a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she. And if you see it done, it is so. It is done. Third and finally, remember who you are. Stand in the truth that you are knowing, intelligent, capable beings, equipped with a multitude of talents and gifts, and you are unstoppable. Thank you. You are unstoppable. You're welcome. Thank you.
Before you leave, you know you all have one of these. If you fill it out without the speaker, that would be fabulous. Leave it on the table. And thanks a million.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being there. I don't